She got too much Haktua in her blood. It's symbolism. First,
Right.
she want to, because Biden gonna have to. They gonna have to announce that he did or that they stepped down or something, and then she's gonna have to assume his responsibilities,
Right.
which is gonna interrupt her campaign capabilities. She's gonna have to say, "I got to perform the functions of the presidency until November." Um, I'm gonna be able to do both campaign and cover this base because too much stuff will fall through the cracks, which is true. You can't pull double duty like that. Now, I don't know if they're gonna split her clones into teams and run two this way and two that way and
Right.
try to cover both bases like that, but I don't see another election happening.
Mm.
It just doesn't seem it just don't seem prevalent.
So,
It's like
so do you think it's going to something is going to what type of event do you think is going to transpire before that? You know.
it's gonna be. It looked like it's gonna be soft disclosure because if they was gonna give it to us in shock and awe, they would have dropped it already. So in the soft disclosure, they'll start showing you certain signs, and then they'll start tying them together, and then it'll come down to a public announcement by a person that's playing the role of the figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
He had to alert you to the fact that the military in charge. We've been in continuity of government since 2019. The government transition is final. We've drained the swamp. The cabal has failed, and the Earthborn has once again prevailed. You know, some old presidential speech writer gonna put their slant on it and try to sound eloquent.
Mm-hmm. So,
all
so
of
wild.
those all of those celebrities that they have and come out performing, right? They dragging them out. Right? So what that means is they force them to do something that they don't want to do or lose their career. And they're using them to garner the attention of a certain demographic of viewer. They're
Mm-hmm.
not worried about the old people no more because they said they're gonna die soon anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't worried about the babies because they said they ain't old enough to pay attention to what's going on yet. So they got to trap them between 16 and probably 34. If
Mm-hmm.
they can keep their man distracted with BS that long, they can influence them to follow their narrative. It's just Pied Piper trick. Play
Mm.
the flute, watch them dance,
Yep.
entertain them, right? But just because they use it against us, believe me, some of them celebrities that don't want to be there, they gonna be flipping signs out into the public that's gonna let us know what's going on behind them. And some of us gonna think that they taking sides with those people when they telling it in the open what them people doing using the symbols of the industry,
Mm-hmm. And they
right?
being controlled. They being controlled because they're under the act of parliament. So if y'all do music or whatever, or if you're in the movies and stuff like that, when you sign in those contracts, cross out actor and artist and put creator. That'll give
Yeah,
you.
you know the DNC been trying to hire content creators to promote Camel Toe Harris.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know that tell you right there who they trying to um, lure in to follow their scheme. Remember this: when you do a voters' rights registration, you sign the contract. You certifying that you're going to represent the interests of the person that you claim party you represent or the vote that you cast, right? So you choosing sides. That means that you taking part in the fraud. Therefore, you a party to the fraud, and this is how they're gonna shut them down on reparation.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a party to the fraud the whole time, even when we tried to let y'all go free. Y'all fought to stay enslaved. Y'all marched to be enslaved.
Mhm.
You fought for this to remain oppressed instead of accept your own and be yourself. Right? Thus, the Antichrist is Judeo Christian mythology. It's
Mhm.
not founded in anything outside a church doctrine of control, right? So when they tell you the Antichrist, they telling you that it's somebody that's going to be either before Christ, which means anti as in predate, or against, which is anti. But if they telling you they against Christ, he's probably going to be the one that's really supporting the Christ.
Exactly. So so essentially the your so-called antichrist would be the actual savior to so-called blacks.
Or the one to take all of the heat so that the
Mm-hmm.
Christ can move about unobstructed.
Mm-hmm. And even when you look at it from a surface level standpoint, I always had this perspective because I always thought maybe a woman would be the so-called, not the antichrist, but the messianic figure to
She
bring
is
about,
Sister Black Madonna.
yeah, to bring about that.
It's the Black Madonna. Well, what that mean is we call her Big Mama. The Black Madonna seat is the sacerdotal seat,
Okay,
and she's carrying the baby, right?
and
The baby,
he's the
that's
heir.
the son. She's a widow, and that's her son, and that's why it ain't no father, and that's why they took the mother out of the Trinity.
Mm, mm. This person
We
said,
go so all of the banks gonna have to fall under the banking jurisdiction of Big Mama Bank. Big Mama gonna have to appoint a banking committee that's gonna disseminate resources to all parts of the land globally. In every area, people who know how to set up family banks and family banking committees will also have a chance to be trained by the Small Business Administration in setting up the family bank and how to run the family bank and make it sustainable. So it's supposed to sustain itself,
mm-hmm,
right? And so there's certain things that the families will have to do in order to access their family's wealth. And one of the first things in the top of the list, Big Mama said they're gonna first have to be able to get along. Or I just hold it up until they figure it out. So the ones who got family members that you ain't gonna never get along with, and your remedy is to join with the side of the family you do get along with, and that's why you automatically separated.
mm-hmm,
You probably haven't even met the other side of your family. It's probably half of the reason you don't get along with the current family. Because now you don't know how to balance the other half of who you are with this half of who you are. And it makes you become resistant to anything that they're doing. But the real estate market, when the when they finish calling in the mortgages for the mortgage fraud,
mm-hmm,
everybody who own property right now gonna be locked in right now. That's your property,
mm,
right? The anybody that because all mortgages is founded on a fraud.
mm.
The mortgage ever since 1933 two, um,
Was it night?
your signature was the promissory note of the sovereign for them to access the Federal Reserve to pay the bill. They never told us. So what they did is they use our signature to create something called a charging instrument. And then they went to the Federal Reserve and withdrew up to 90% more than what you took out for your house as the caretaker of the estate that you just drew up. By
Mm,
them not telling you, that's called a withholding fraud.
mm.
They withheld a critical piece of information from you that would have allowed you to understand your rights better. Your signature paid for the property.
So you said,
Now they want you to pay them back for buying the property on your behalf with your signature and your money. So now you fighting to pay a mortgage back that's predicated up on the fraud of concealment,
mm,
the withholding of critical pieces of information in the contract that would have made you approach the contract from a different view. And the crazy part is most real estate agents have no freaking clue. But the bankers know.
mm-hmm. So they basically paying for the shit twice.
Real, if you really look at it, they probably paying for it because they can take, like, if you check out I get $100,000 house, they can get up to $1 million on that $100,000.
Mm,
And then for if you refi, they get another promissory note and do the same thing from the original promissory note's value. So if you only owe $20,000 on your $100,000 house, you run into problems. So you're going to take out a $20,000 mortgage to pay it off. Then they still taking out a mortgage on a $100,000 property. The value of the property going to remain the value of the property until it go up. Don't go down, right? Because we trapped in the inflation system. And the inflation tells them how much currency that they can withdraw from the Federal Reserve System on behalf of this charging instrument that they drew up in order to finance this property or purchase it on your behalf. Because it's a fraud, the tribal rules will look at each case individual by individual to make sure that the person who purchased the property was not also fraudulent, right? But if everything is on the up and up, like some of these married couples been in these houses for 50 years, now they want to take them from them.
yep.
No, not gonna happen. That's gonna be the difference in the real estate market, and the real estate agents is gonna be paid different because they're gonna be getting paid a flat rate to perform a different function, and it won't be as many as it is now. So, um, real estate, um, the real estate industry is about to change drastically.
Mm. This person said so.
So, is
Listen,
that when the grid is going down? The grid don't have to all go down at once. They can do it in flashes. They
mm-hmm.
call it rolling blackouts, right? Or they can just jam the internet and let the TVs play,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they can jam the TVs and the internet, but let the radios play. All of this is with the technology that we have. That's child's play. A kid can do it from his computer if you allow him to figure out how to write the code, right? So now the grid going down is really when the baton changed hands from the old system to the new system.
So that's
You
your
gotta
that's
have Yeah, you gotta have what's called a notification, a mass notification. And then anything that the people need to be informed of, like why is y'all running this whole political psyop stage show, theatrical performance in front of our face like we don't see it,
right.
and make it so obvious, right? It's blood in, blood out,
Mm.
right?
So that's basically like that's what you get your. I just did a transmission on that a couple days ago, and I was basically talking about how the processional circle operates on a cosmic clock that's connected to
Yeah.
their connected to their debt clock system, which is also connected to the doomsday clock. When they talking about the 90 seconds to midnight, yeah, I was applying
Well,
that to the Greek system.
remember, we in cycles. When you go back and read the Emerald Tablets, it say we are in cycles within cycles.
Facts.
You use each one of those clocks on the collective in order to put them into a different cycle that they will never see play out in front of them because it's going to happen at the speed of life.
Mm,
Right? You have to be able to intuitively experience life as well as experience life experientially in order to marry the two so that you can see the game in real time. It's like realizing you in the game on with goggles on. Like you could feel the body of the player in the game when he gets shot and everything,
right.
but you got the goggles on. You can also move him out of the way of the shooter.
Right.
From when you realize that you're wearing the goggles, oh shit, I forgot I can control this. And you're activating your guide form.
I'm gonna get one more question in because we already at we on here about 3-4 hours, but we it's a good conversation. Uh, says what recommend black magic is done by the family member closest to them. How should we handle it? So basically, how should we deal with black magic?
A lot of people, you know what? A lot of people didn't try that on me, but your spiritual defenses is activated upon the awareness, and you're supposed to automatically, if you're spiritually intelligent, you automatically adjust spiritually by changing your physical surroundings so you don't have to interact with that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that comes with the feng shui. It comes with the burning of the candles and the scents to change the frequencies so that all that shit pass over you.
Mm-hmm.
I stay protected. I done had so many big mamas put protection on me. I don't know. I can't even name them all. Some of them might even know their name. And they didn't try. When I was a baby, my mama traveled from church to church getting big mamas to put protections on me, and they didn't all use the same language.
Mm. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Especially during
Some
this
of them
time
spoke
period.
in native tongue, the
Oh.
old Ojibwe languages and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's
Some
what
of them spoke in Creole. Some of them spoke in Pig Latin. I remember all that stuff.
dang. I said he was tapped in. But yeah, in order, in the future, man, in order to deviate from that, you got to get away from family members who try to supplicate your emotions to where it's basically transmuted into a weakness. So you really just got to use your emotions, just like Rod Hayes said, as a navigation system to level up, protect your own energy.
Normally, you normally know it's an outside influence when your emotion is out of context.
Mm-hmm.
When it's out of context, that means that you got to shift your perception because you're looking from somebody else's angle, not your own.
Facts.
You got to make sure that the emotion is in context, right? Like some people laugh at trauma. A traumatic event happened, and that's the funniest shit in the world to them,
Mm.
right? And some people see the sunset and can't stop crying. The psychology is determining the norm for the individual first. When you understand you have a norm, now you look for what makes the emotion shift. And then you say, okay, was I warranted to be angry because the man behind the counter gave me 39 cents and I should have got 40 cents back?
Mm-hmm.
Was the level that I was ready to take it to equal to the value of the penny that I could have just asked for? You see, so the context of the emotion. A lot of guys been with a chick, and chick been with a guy, and their communication is predicated upon out of context emotions.
Mm-hmm. This person said, "How do
I
you talk?"
can.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
No, I was about to go to the next
You
question.
blinked out.
Hmm. I was about to go to the next question. I didn't know if you was finished already, but you can go ahead and continue what you was about to say.
So when I say Big Mama, I had a physical Big Mama on Earth, and I call Prime Creator Big Mama. Prime Creator, you talk to telepathically. Everybody have access to Prime Creator. The women have double access because not only do they access through the interior gyrus like the men on the right hemisphere, they also have what they call direct womb to womb contact through the portal called the womb. So the woman can clasp her hands together, get into a meditative state, put her hands over her uterus, and ask Big Mama anything she wants. But normally she gonna give you the answer in the form of a child.
Mm,
If it's a major thing that you need to change, if it's something minor, she'll just answer it. She'll put somebody in your way with a confirmation for you to know that you're getting the answer that you asked for. That's
mm,
for the minor stuff. For something major, like if the world need to be changed in a certain way, yeah, she gonna give you a child that's natural born rebel.
hmm and you
Just don't
know
go
what?
along with nothing in the system.
And that child's gonna be the one that's gonna break all those generational curses too. That's how it always
Mm-hmm.
happens. That's
Yep.
that's the chosen ones, you know what I'm saying, coming back to revitalize this whole infrastructure. But you know, it was a good collaboration. And for those who still in the chat, hit up, Rod Hayes' Cash App at the SikApe money sign SIK capital APE SikApe. Hit his Cash App up. You know what I'm saying? He's been dropping, a lot of information. We've been talking about Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian rituals within the factions of the government, and how it, connects to everything on a metaphysical level. So if you haven't, you just now came in the chat, go ahead and rewatch the video. And I appreciate you guys for tapping in tonight, and I appreciate you, Ron, for tapping in with me. We're gonna do another one, man, because next time I'm gonna have a lot more, receipts that are basically applies to the publications, whatever we're gonna tap into next. So
So,
yeah.
yeah. So we can get some shouts out to Drea Talk,
Oh
Sister
yeah,
Drea
yeah.
plugging us
What happened?
in.
Where's she at?
We got lost in communication. We
Okay, cause
were, we wasn't communicating between the three of us well enough.
I did. I tagged her in the post, and I was waiting for her to, you know.
Yeah, there was unclear communication,
Oh,
but I was talking to her when you called me.
okay, you should have
You
just told her
know,
to come on the live.
well, she couldn't come without being notified sooner because she got family from out of town.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
You know, so she hosted right. She hosts Drea right now.
okay. So yeah, we need that triangle offense again. Cause the last, I think it was like a year and a half ago when we did our first one, right?
Yeah.
'Cause we did it on her channel twice, and they removed the video. Yep,
Oh yeah, we was going in back then.
yep.
That was
But
the heat up.
I
But
swear.
I'm gonna let her know. So when she get her channel back up, she can have us back on over there. We can
Okay,
drop some more receipts on something over there.
okay, sounds good to me. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming on the channel. You know what I'm saying? You
Oh
did.
man, I can't wait to come on here and chop it up with you, man. That I be just to show the support,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, because like I'm looking, I want people to know all the. It's just not one person doing the work. It's a
right,
lot of us.
right.
Right? And then certain ones just work be so thorough, it just hit me in the heart space. I'd be like, I definitely gotta.
Mm-hmm.
show some love and come show some support and that people see that's watching me. Look, dude, nice. So yeah,
That's that's coming from a lot. That's a lot coming from you, man. Because like I said, I've been watching you since like during the time when you first got out. Like I've been following you on. I think you was dropping them on Facebook.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's where I started at.
yeah,
Then
you.
they put me in Facebook jail
Mm,
indefinitely. I was
yeah,
like, what the fuck is that? That even a sentence? So then I was about to say, fuck that. I go over to IG. Then I start doing them over there.
hmm
And
yeah. You ain't never try to get your own YouTube.
I got a YouTube, but I don't use it because I do everything off my phone.
Oh yeah, you. I forgot you don't care about none of this stuff anyway.
Man,
Like
I hate social media so bad. If it
right.
wasn't for the need that I had to get this information out in the public domain and keep
Mm.
putting these people on notice at periodic steps for certain stuff, you would have never seen me because I would have never been on social media. I hate this shit with a passion.
I know you do because
But
like, a lot of
it was
times.
more it was more important to serve the collective than to just go on and live my life. I had everything I wanted. I was straight. Didn't need nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to get it shed it all in order to turn into the butterfly when I come out this cocoon.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And that's
and
that's
talking about some miserable shit.
that's one of the main things that lets me know that this like we really like in the knee deep into the end of the simulation because like it's just so many synchronicities that basically applies to what everything that we was talking about like and man you really just cannot make none of this up like we got this receipts on top of receipts on top of receipts and like you said none of this is by accident, none of it.
No, it's all by divine design.
Facts. But yeah, we
I
definitely
just got
go ahead.
I just developed the skill to learn how to read it
Mm,
from all of the different sciences that handwriting analysis, psychological profiling, criminal profiling, crime scene investigation, and the list goes on and on. And I'm studying because I'm trying to study the people that's studying me.
facts.
I
Yeah,
want to know. It took me into COINTELPRO, took me into studying the history of the CIA, the FBI, the KGB, the Bolshevik revolutions. It took me into all of that stuff because I need to know what's going on because some don't look right on the land that I'm from.
facts. Yeah. So what do you think like what's gonna happen? What you think is next?
Um, I think the fiscal year is going to be the end of the charade. I think by the time the new fiscal year come up, Big Mama Bank should be ready to come online. That's your digital currencies, your Nasara, Jasara,
Yeah,
the SESQ Trust, all that stuff will be opened up, but you're gonna have to know how to access it, and there will be we will have to go around teaching classes on how to access your financial wealth, how to because you're gonna have a family bank to funnel it to have control of your own money. We don't want central banks controlling our money no more.
mm-hmm.
Every family have a right to control their own wealth. We exercise every inalienable right on the book and in the ethers. That means that even if they forgot about that inalienable right, we exercise in that too.
Facts. Yep, because it because they do have to turn it into a technocrat system. Because I know that's the end goal. I know that as far as like the Project 2025 manifesto. Some people said it's like it's all it was fake and Donald Trump he didn't create it and stuff like that. But
You
I know
breaking
that
up a little bit, but there,
okay, I'm gonna come. But can you hear me now? Am I
yeah,
good
it's
now?
clearing up.
Okay, but I know that
Yeah,
the Project 2025 manifesto Like that's like in alignment with totalitarianism. I mean, it basically eradicates the whole perception of the far left and what they propagate through liberalism. But at the end goal, but it's really the same thing. It's the same shit. Actually, it's like they both have the same end goal, but it basically gets rid of the hedonistic activity that's coming from the left.
But you gotta
That's
remember, it was there was two sets of plans being worked. If
right.
we lose, we fall under the totalitarian permanent dictator of Earth and live.
Yep.
Restricted will environment. If we win, then all of his restrictive will dictatorships fall. And then we have to teach the people how to live as sovereign and autonomous beings on the planet.
Hmm.
Because we don't know. We don't know what freedom look like because we haven't seen it yet in this cycle. So you don't have nothing to compare it to,
Hmm.
right? So the old system wanted to create enough fear for them to overtake us mentally, spiritually, subjugate us so that they can come out victorious. There was only one problem. They couldn't remember how to close the conjures out.
Mm.
So the same people that caused the problem had to do the same thing that the people that was victims of the problem. They had to call the same person to come and find out how to revert, how to get out of these conjures.
It's good to hear from
That's one thing I'm always envious of the brothers with the dreads because
you.
I gotta get some treatments done on my scalp before I grow them.
Hey, and it's funny, I'm a barber, so I always supply everybody with all the different stuff to do with your locks. Man, just everything natural. Just everything natural. That's it.
One question I gotta answer. She says the lady chiefs too. It's probably gonna be more women chiefs than it is men. We had both, and we had under the matriarchal system, we had a whole lot of female chiefs that had feathers, full regalia feathers. So we not patriarchal people. We matriarchal by nature.
Mhm.
So come on with it, blood. What's on your mind today?
Oh man, man, a lot. But you've hit a lot of different points. But one of the main things I wanted to kind of find out, um, what is that process looking like? I'm not sure if you went over it already, but what is the process looking like of getting him out? And what do you think is the most effective way for us to be able to help that process? Because I'm gonna try to
The
do
most
everything I can with my platform, and every yeah.
Okay, so when we get enough of the people from the land to say free Larry Hoover, they already agreed. They just waiting on us to get that number. I don't know what the number is,
Okay,
but they waiting on us to hit a certain number of people on board with free Larry Hoover because a whole lot of stuff is encapsulated with that.
okay,
While we doing this part, they trying to tell him where you can go, but this one gotta stay. He ain't no, we all going. And you're not finna make us pick between each other no more. We not doing that shit no more.
okay,
Ain't no big eyes and no little U's. And the best thing we can do, each one teach one. Get the word out, get on our platform, explain it to people so they understand that the chiefs of the land has been on the land, but they've been incapacitated by a rogue system.
okay, okay.
You know what?
You call them what are they? Skin. You said skin. What did you call them? The individuals that are intruding right now.
Oh, you talking about the ones that look like us that ain't us?
Yeah,
To trust
yeah.
me more.
Hash,
Yeah,
crazy.
they
Okay,
came over as conquistadors
yeah, that's
and
crazy.
reigned. Yeah.
All my paths kind of led here. That's wild. Okay. I've been studying this before I ran into you. Just studying what happened with the Moors and studying what happened with just the Aboriginals of the land. Because my people from Mississippi. So I found out I'm Blackfoot native. And I'm like, man, I went through all my family line. I'm over here trying to get my family. We still got over 50 acres of land in Columbia, Mississippi. I'm trying to figure out what we got to do to just harness this thing on down and just in totality. So hearing what you saying, I'm hearing I got information. I was studying C.L. Freeman and just different individuals who talk about,
Yeah, Freeman
you
Hill is
know,
the truth.
man, like I'm just, man, that's why I'm saying all my roads led here, and
Hmm.
I'm just trying to do whatever I can, bringing all my people together, bringing all my boys together. I'm from LA. I actually grew up in Inglewood, so like it's just it's crazy, like learning so much about what happened with my family, and then just like seeing other people, and then just seeing different people's faces. Now you seeing how common we all are. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's just blowing me. I'm a young boy trying to learn this thing. So you know,
Well, once this shit flip, we're gonna be having classes. All the other tribes is gonna be orienting everybody to the particular tribal rules and the culture across the
okay,
land. So, like the chiefs on the land, we all fall. We got our own tribe, and then we got the tribe that we fall up under from birth. Like I'm a GD, but I'm also Chief Pontiac, local clan, right?
okay,
So, I got the distinction because the Chief Pontiac was out of commission when the lot came up for us, right? So I
okay.
had already traversed the land, right, and went around and picked up the keys from the different cultures on the land.
That's crazy.
So this how Larry and them able to win talk with me, flip me signs and flip me messages
That's,
from an enclosed location like that.
and then man, that's deep. That's crazy. Okay. It's real crazy because I'm learning all this stuff, and at the same time I'm having life experiences. I'm like I got spoke to directly, by a woman. You know what I mean? The voice was like real subtle, and she just basically was just saying that like um that you're a heroic being from a different from time ago, and basically that is many here like you, and that y'all
It's a
about to
lot.
base
It's
it.
a lot more than yeah. So we
Yeah,
had
it
all of
blew
the
me.
masters got to be here now. You surprised how many? It's not supposed to be this many of us on the land right now. The fact that it's this many of us on the land mean the problem was horrible,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So it needed all of us, and we all got to look at the problem how we see it, and then one of us got to be able to put it all back together, right? So just like they shattered us and scattered us, when all of the pieces reassemble, we like transformers.
I see. Okay.
So now the information part is where we at now. Inform, organize, organize. Inform, organize, organize. I
Okay.
got all the receipts. The motherfucker can say I'm lying, but they can go argue with them receipts I got.
Man, that's crazy. Okay, so well, I want to do my part. Like I said, I'm a barber out here. This is not on my page, but I'm actually getting ready to open a shop like downtown LA area. So I need to figure out who I need to check in with, because that all that matter, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What's
and it's
you know the the area you in?
well, I'm gonna be predominantly downtown, kind of off of 8th and Main,
Mm.
like around that area, around the Fashion District. So
What when you know what set you on, you greet one of them brothers with respect. Respect, bro. I'm not from your clique, but I need to check in with the OGs over here so they know I'm on the land.
okay, yeah, so I grew up at a forum, so all my family was like neighborhoods and all that. So I got to figure out who I need,
Yo, if you already from over there, you ain't gotta check in. You already know who your OG is. It's his
uh,
job to make sure that he communicate across. Let's say, for instance, you rolling 60, you finna go to rolling 20 territory. It ain't nothing to call your OG. LG, I need to cross the rolling 20s, man. I don't need no smoke. I need you to give him a heads up. I'm coming through town.
okay,
All love when you come through. No disrespect, all love. The problem come in is they taught us to not have any respect one for another.
yeah, no, that
So we
man,
don't want to do stuff like that.
exactly, exactly, and
You
that's
know
why I
what I'm
wanted
saying?
to.
But it's just common courtesy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That was my whole point, because I'm coming back. I'm gonna be going back home, so I'm like, I need to just go make sure. You know what I mean? I don't know the movement. I don't know what it is right now, because my pops
So
got
look,
us
let's
out of
say for
there. So
instance you go back to Mississippi to visit.
yeah,
All you got to do is find out who the old lady is in the family, and you check in with her. She gonna make sure everybody that need to know you there and you on her watch. she gonna make it known.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Okay. And then yeah, I mean, I got a lot of questions for you, but I know you got stuff y'all gotta get done. So I'm just here for it. Whatever we gotta do.
All right, just
I'll check
keep
on in.
watching. We gonna answer some more questions before we end it.
All right, for sure. I appreciate you.
Mhm. For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
On them wow words of wisdom. Wow. And so this is what we do. I look at all of the conflicts in history, and I noticed that there's a lot of different causes for conflict, but there's a better cause for peace. You see, you gotta have two sides to fight a war, because when the people are used as the weapons, you take the weapons out of the equation. When the weapons are no longer in the equations of war, then they can't destroy us. They can't crush us. Peace. So as I sit back and I observe, I remember when I was a little boy, we'd be at the basketball court. There's always somebody that want to be unruly, ignorant, foolish, irrational, and hard to work with, right? So when we played basketball, what we would do is we take our ball and go. Take our ball and we would go home. This had a kind of odd effect that I noticed. Be a whole bunch of trash talk, but within short order, if a ball don't show up, everybody go home. They go on their separate ways. You know, you got some stragglers that sit around and stay where they at. Don't want to make no moves. They just want to stay stagnant, but that's fine. They still can't play ball. They can stay at the park on the basketball court, but they can't play ball without a basketball. And those who own the basketball is aware of this. They know this. But if the person who owned the basketball is unaware that he can take his ball and go home, and it would cripple the whole game, he don't have to tear nothing up. He don't have to fight nobody on the court. He don't have to fight the bully. He don't have to slap the little guy. All he had to do is just say, hey, man, get my ball. I'm going home. And he go home. Everybody going to be looking at him crazy. But guess what? Everybody end up going home if no other balls come. Now, expand that on a massive scale, like globally, right? Let's just say that America, no, let's say we don't even use country we in. We want to use two countries that don't got nothing to do with us directly. So let's say we take Brazil wants to attack India, and none of the soldiers are willing to fight in that war. None of them. Not a single one, from the generals to the foot soldiers. How the heck can we die? How can you wage a war when the tools of the war are inoperable? They don't work. You can't. It's impossible. Take your ball and go the fuck home. But you would have to have a call for a specific type of unity across various borders. You would have to have a call for unity that would embrace so many people that when people take their ball and go home, everybody go home. They already know what it's about. They already know what it's about. It's about the march to peace. And the march to peace sometimes is a family-oriented event. Go home. Play with your children. Kiss your wife. Hug your mama. Get wisdom from your father. You know? You don't have to always tear things apart, shred stuff. It's a reason for all of this chaos is because we keep allowing it. The easiest way to stop the foolishness and the ignorance, the easiest way, is all of the mothers tell your child, we ain't fighting for these animals. Because they have to be animals to pit us together to fight us like animals. And if they're going to put us together and fight us like animals, they have to use something against us that would allow us to do that. And the greatest tool in the history of the world is divide and conquer. Now, we've been thinking that there's been one nation versus another nation in these wars. That's absolutely not what it is. It's never been in Germany versus France in World War II. That wasn't even the purpose. World War I, it got nothing to do with no Lithuanian ships. You know, it got nothing to do with that. And it's population control by using the very people that you want to quell the population as the implements of war. They know that we like combat because we mastered the martial arts in all ancient cultures, because we wanted to learn how to defend our clans from invaders, no matter where they may come from. Here we are now, we on Earth. We look around and all we see is conflict, bloodshed, disunity, disharmony, backbiting, backstabbing, resentments, hatred, bigotry, foolishness, and ignorance. All that stuff in one pot, then they stir it up and feed it to us, and we eat it. We don't have to eat it. Every mother should just call her children in the military and just say, come home. We're not fighting for these animals. If we're going to have any type of conflict, we should be fighting in our own interest. Who's gaining? Look at the wounded warriors. See, we need to do something like to federalize this wounded warrior project. And right, but that's the whole point. It was a trick from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to read this. Many nations that does not look like us came together against us and plotted against each other. Right, but see, that's the trick. Because they used the minority population on the planet. By exalting the minority population, they got the smallest group. So at the time that the people of the mass realized that the smallest group is oppressing the largest group, then we could just annihilate them and get rid of the problem. But that was never the problem to begin with, because then they're going to go to the next smallest group and superiorize them. We can't fall for that. This is the end of them games. So it worked like this. Ain't no more white people that was created in this Babylonian experiment. The genetic mess up has been clean. That's over with. Now everybody have the capabilities of rising to their own level of greatness. Everybody. And because everybody can rise to their own level of greatness, we should all be able to pull this plank out our eye and see the enemy for who he is. If we trace it all back, it end up with one person. And you know, they want to tell us, you know, don't be anti-Semitic and all of this. It ain't Israel as a nation over there in the Middle East, because they pawns. They pawns. The Khazarians, the Ashkenazi, the Sephardi, those are pawns. No, those are not pawns. They're more like rooks and bishops on the chessboard. They bigger pieces, but they're expendable. So you got to track it back. Now, how do you track it back? You follow the dollar. You follow the currency, you find out who reaps the greatest benefit of all. Well, I used to think when I was a lot younger that it was the royal families of Europe. But then I came to, through research, to realize that it's not the royal families of Europe. It traced back to one particular house, in one particular place, in one particular person. And he wears a crown that represents 3 tiers, which is your economics, your military, and political strength. And also it represents your religious strength. By combining them all together, that's where your spiritual weaving comes in, your spider web. So if the world want to know who's responsible, you got to find out who's claimed right of all of the souls on earth to undermine the rights of the people who own their own soul. Now remember, your U.S. Constitution says, nope, your Declaration of Independence says that you have God-given inalienable rights. That means that nobody can't take them from you, but they can trick you out of them if you surrender them. They can trick you into giving up your rights. But there's somebody on this planet that filed paperwork in 1301 to capture the souls of the people. And it's the same one person that seats all of the royalty and confirms them and gives them the appearance of being the problem. Now, the royal families do have things that's going to be dealt with, like adrenochrome in the drinking of baby blood that's prohibited. And you don't know that Queen Elizabeth is not still alive. She's been dead. That's an imposter that they're using over there, so they don't want nobody to know. She's gone. And Pope Francis makes mockery of every single human on earth. He is the animal. I told y'all at the close of the age, I would pull the curtain off the man who stands behind it, pulling the strings in the land of Oz. His name now is Pope Francis, but it's the same symbiote who jumped body to body for thousands of years so he can survive eternally. And he wants to deprive you of your eternal life by allowing his host to live as comfortable as possible. But he have to have a certain biological signature trait. And this certain biological signature trait allows the symbiote to attach. Now, if you go back, you probably won't see it very far back in history, but when they see the Pope, they tell you there's a meeting of, what you call them, bishops, and that they are all in there voting and negotiating who would be Pope. That's cool. It makes sense, but it ain't true. You see, they got a period of time where they have to go through different blood types and genetic signatures in order that the symbiote can actually cleave to the host. And so they have a series of these hosts that sit there in a stasis-like state while the symbiote attaches through his eye into his brain. And there's a part of the brain that connects the two hemispheres, and this little symbiote lodges there. Now, I don't think the world should participate in this rotten, bloody mess anymore. You know what I think they ought to do? I think every head of state need to send me and my thugs over there so I can get that symbiote out of his head. All these kids don't need to keep coming home with arms blowed off, legs blowed off, holes in their body, bullets in their head, plates in their head. That's horrendous. That's atrocious. And it's unnecessary and uncalled for. But nobody wants to trace the issue of divide and conquer back to its source. People should love each other and should try to work together at all costs to overcome this unstoppable evil. But we don't want to do that because the evil turns us against each other, and it began with the Tower of Babel scenario. The Tower of Babel was there as a reminder of the problem and who caused it. So, when you go through the John Wick series, John Wick is a man in love with a woman that he met that got him out of a horrible lifestyle. And as you walk through the storyline, he ends up in part 3. Now, notice there's 3 parts to the John Wick story. And he goes into the desert, and here you have Maitreya. Here you have Maitreya. I told y'all he was the one behind the problem. I posted him in Africa deceiving people on my Facebook page so y'all can see exactly who's responsible for this evil that we are being subjugated by. Also, his pawn or his queen is the Pope. Check that out. His queen is the Pope. Now here's the analysis that you understand what you're dealing with. If you go back in history, you will notice that before 325, there was no such thing as what we call a Catholic Church because Christendom hadn't been established yet. It was established by Pope Constantine. Pope Constantine needed the believers, the faithful, the Almoravides, the defenders of the faith. He needed to capture them, put them in sequestered locations, and under the threat of death, they would have to come up with a common belief system in which they would install the papacy. They did that, but they left us clues along the way, breadcrumbs, for us to discover this deception and expose this rotten beast for who he is. Now, the Pope is the queen, the seat that he's sitting in. This was originally called the Noon Priestess. They never changed them. They just called them nuns now. And the Noon Priestess was headed up by a woman who we know her as the Black Madonna. And a lot of people that understand the history of ancient Egypt will call her Isis, the Queen of Heaven and Earth. That's her seat. I'm going to replace her back on her seat if the people want the tyranny of Earth to end. Otherwise, I'm just going to go hang out with my peeps in the hood and do hood stuff. We're going to clean up the hood. I would rather clean Earth up than to just focus on one local community. I didn't do all this studying for nothing. I couldn't rest in my soul until I found out who was responsible for this treachery. The one you call Yahweh in your Old Testament, that you call God now, is the same one that the Christ called Legion in the New Testament. And your proof is all in the book. When you go back to the tribes of Israel, one of the tribes is called Gad, G-A-D. If you know grammar, Grimm's Law of Grammar say all vowels are interchangeable in translation. The word Gad is your word God. When they translate it into German, it becomes the word Gut, G-U-T, because the D and the T is interchangeable. Also, in the vowel scenario, just like when you change your F and V's when you go from a knife to knives, it's the same law of grammar. So now we understand that Gad means a truth. Well, when he asked the demon, who are you? He said, we are legion, for we are many. That's saying the exact same thing. Now, the absolute verification is the Pope has declared himself owner of all souls on earth. And it's the same symbiote, it's just a different host. And he thinks that nobody's going to figure him out. I've posted him antagonizing and taunting the people of earth and doing exactly what the text say he would do at this time to expose who he is. He said that Satan is strong and the Christ has failed. Now he's supposed to be a representative of the Christ, but he's telling you Christ failed. Think about that. Don't believe me. Go check all this stuff I'm telling you out. You can just scroll my page and all the evidence you need is on my Facebook. It's not hard to find. Not only that, all of the signs say he the last pope. When you go through all of the historical records of prophecies about the pope, that's it. Because he had to be exposed. And once he get exposed, the books say that the world would look and say, is this him? This one? Is this the one that had us all under this terror and treachery? Well, not exactly, but exactly that's him. He is the hidden hand. behind all of the treachery and the wickedness on this planet. They go to JFK's speech, Separation of Church and State. I'm going to give you the historical background of that speech. The Separation of Church and State speech came about because Pope Francis being a Jesuit, and the Jesuit priesthood being the tyrants who come and put the pressure on the presidents and heads of state around the world in order to do the bidding of the Catholic Church. Mind you, this is not a condemnation of every Catholic priest, but the pedophile cult of priests, they all his. You want to see a righteous priest, all you got to do is go to Chicago. Father Pfleger fight for the rights of the people. So that don't mean that all of the Catholics are bad. See, that's how they get us. Because they take a minority to shine a negative light on the majority. We done with that. This is a new era. We're going into analysis
Go ahead.
on
You
it.
can see it. You can see it. Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that he got this. He gets sunburned. Sun takes.
Yeah, so his story, this picture right here, he's supposed to be like 100 and something years old.
Okay. That's another reason too. He 100 or something.
Yeah, but black don't crack.
No, black don't crack like this though. My grandma was 100 and something. She ain't look like this.
Mm-hmm. Anybody that know people know where that motherfucker come from.
All
right, let's get back to the post. We got some more dogs roll reading to do.
Yeah, I like this. I like your post on your page. You got some good shit. All right, let's roll that back, baby. That pull back up, please. Where were we? Hold on, we were right here. All right.
Keep going. That's just a commercial. The Curtis Act, passed in 1898, targeted the 5 civilized tribes. Here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They call these the 5 civilized tribes, and they changing the names.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Cherokee and Seminole. Seminole should be Gullah or Gullah Getcha.
Mm-hmm.
And Cherokee is a whole nother word. I can't even pronounce that shit right now because my mind ain't over there. Mm-hmm. But the Curtis Act, passed in 1898, targeted the 5 civilized tribes, forcing them to accept allotments and register on the dog roll. Now, here's the key thing. It says to accept allotments. What does that mean?
To accept reservations, I think.
Absolutely. See, so they was moving to put $5 Indians on reservations using this system. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's say the 2 acts which came, scroll down, during the period of murky social context. See what that say?
Mm-hmm. Murky social context. Look, these niggas be wording some shit, man.
Right. Now,
not clear. I mean, it's not clear. It's not a clear,
right,
decisive, you know.
All right, now look. This is where the murky social context come in. After the Civil War, when white and so-called black men were intermarrying with Native American women, aimed to help the government keep track of real Indians, while accelerating efforts to assimilate Indian people into so-called white culture. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is what murkied the waters, the 1 drop of blood doctrine, the great melding pot. Everybody